Welcome to the Santa Anita Late Pick 5 preview show. And Gino Bacola, we are getting closer and closer to the Kentucky Derby. What an exciting time to be a horse player, my friend.
Yeah, just 2 weeks from Saturday. We'll actually have the fields drawn next Saturday night. It's become a new trend that they have. So in just a week, we'll have a good idea of most of the races on Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby Day. But got a lot of stuff happening this weekend. Hollywood Meet opening up at Santa Anita. So we'll be focusing in on the Late Pick 5 for Friday. They also have a really big contest and a couple of cool contests. If you check out ExpressBet, I know they're calling it Preakness Preview Day at Laurel Park. They have a win in your in race and a big contest built around those races too. So you want to check that out at ExpressBet. If you're a contest player, ways you can get qualified for the NHC and the BCBC. But Chappie, you see me, I'm rocking my Lakers right here because I'm getting ready. I think what something like Shannon Sharp would say, like Hollywood Meet, Luca and LeBron eat some Timberwolves on the street, Lakers in 5.
Wow.
Wow.
From Equine Edge, top that, our friend Oldie. Do you have a rhyme to go with your handicapping here? That was well done, Gino.
I don't rhyme unless somebody forces me to, but I did very much enjoy the Cubs comeback from behind victory today, 13-11 against the Diamondbacks. So I was supposed to be at the game, and the wife backed out at the last second and decided it was too cold.
Yeah.
But
just
two
so
grand slams in one within one inning.
Right. Nobody cares except for me and Oldie, but the Cubs had a 7-1 lead in the top of the 8th, and they gave up 10 runs in the top of the 8th to be trailing 11-7, and then they scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th and won 13-11. So if this is the start of something good, Gino, for the weekend, right, whether it's for his Kings or your Lakers and his
good energy.
Seminar Skip in the building right next to me, by the way. So welcome, Skipper.
Yes. How you guys doing? It's good to be back. We missed you last week and excited for this Hollywood Park meet to start. And I tell you what, this is a great time of year. We got the Kentucky Derby right around the corner. Gino was talking about the Lakers and the basketball playoffs. And, of course, most importantly, the hockey playoffs are getting started here tomorrow. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Skip and I are making our maiden voyages to the Kentucky Derby, actually separately, but we will both be there. So
nice. I'll be making mine to the Preakness for the first time
nice.
too. So a couple weeks after, I'll be able to check in with you guys.
Oldie, will you be joining us, or at least in spirit?
I will be moving my Kentucky Derby weekend. I will be moving my son out of his dorm in college, and Preakness weekend I will be moving my daughter out of her room.
Wow.
In college. So.
Makes you really feel oldie, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I, not as oldie as I would feel if they were both out of college. That would be much worse. But
well, oldie, that's almost as bad as someone scheduling a wedding on Kentucky Derby Day. It's like, come on, man, what are you doing?
My daughter has competed for years. She was a all-star cheerleader in Worlds. When she competed at Worlds, it was always Kentucky Derby weekend.
Wow.
And I was doing shows from like the pool of the hotel.
Watch it on your phone. And
yeah. Well, we got plenty of money. We call it seed money, as we say, leading up to that. So like Gino said, we're going to concentrate on Saturday's Late Pick 5 at Santa Anita. First post, remember, tomorrow, Saturday, is 1 p.m. First post on Sunday, Easter Sunday, is at noon. And we are about the only game in town, I believe, on Sunday. Keeneland is not running. I don't think Oakland either, right, Gino? So
and New York doesn't run either. Yeah.
Correct. So, get ready to rock and roll with Santa Anita this weekend. So let's get it started, Gino. We'll start with you. We're going to race 6.5 furlongs on the turf. These are 50-dime maiden claimers. What are your thoughts in the first leg?
Yeah, we're going 6.5. We're not down the hill, though. This is on the straightaway. Couple horses that will take a lot of money are Crazy Cavalier, the 2, and then the Old 9. I thought the Old 9 who was a clear-cut second last time out, and that was the first time dropping down to the level, whereas you compare it to like a horse like Crazy Cavalier, who has been beaten at this level previously. So I think a little more upside with the horse like the Old 9, but the 2 horses that are maybe a little outside the box that I'll be using. Starting with the 7, Burning Rubber. It's a pretty good effort last time out, going a mile on the turf. This horse was fast early, wanted the lead, but had to kind of back off because 2 others went to the front end. There were 3 horses all kind of really fast that wanted to hold their position. So backs off to third, a couple lengths off, loomed up at the top of the lane, but you could tell it was just a little bit green. Like one horse tried to loom up, shifted around, just looked a little tired. That was going a mile. Now you get the cutback to 6.5 furlongs. I'm just expecting a really nice effort from Burning Rubber, who's going to get Lasix for the first time. It's a really nice jockey trainer combo. I'm not really one that's like huge on things like that, but when these two team up, it's actually been really, really lethal. I think we sent in a formulator fact for the two of them for DRF for the broadcast tomorrow at Santa Anita. And then Going Viral, I'm definitely going to use too for Mandela. This horse broke on top, sat second, faded last time out. That was just against Better. Now you get the drop in class here. I think Going Viral will be able to kind of hold that speed and that early tactical position just a little bit longer. So 7 and 5 are the ones that might be a little bit of value. I thought the 6 of the shorter prices was the one to beat. So I'll probably be 5, 6, 7 in here.
All right, so 5, 6, 7 oldie, and I want to ask you about a certain horse and how much you put stock into that. The 4-horse Big Reds and Ribeyes off the long layoff is not in for the tag, so they kind of get the free roll here. Oldie, what kind of stock do you put in something like that?
It depends on the race, and here, where I have data saying this horse wants nothing to do with turf, I put 0 stock into it because I'm looking at the other handicapping factors there. Maybe they're coming off the layoff. They want a turf race before putting this horse on the dirt, and that's why they're protecting it. But, this horse, according to our breeding number, the GSR, is screaming dirt here. And for me, there's another long shot I like here, but this was not one of them.
And who would that long shot be that you like in here?
So, my second choice, so Gino pretty much covered my first choice and my third and fourth choice, but my second choice is that first-time starter for Carla Gaines, Makutu, there, who I think in a group that's not that great. It's a Mendelssohn sprinting on the turf. I think that this horse may have a big look here first time out.
All right, so Skipper, Oldie throws in the 8, so we're 5, 6, 7, 8. Anything to add for you in there?
No, I'm with them, and I'm glad Oldie mentioned 8 because that was going to be one of my plays. I'm also going to be using the 4. I know Oldie said that the numbers on the grass aren't real good, but I just thought it was interesting that Mike Pipey went in and claimed this horse. He doesn't do that a whole lot, and I thought that was interesting. It didn't run too bad on the grass back in January, so the 4 is going to be on my ticket. So I'm going 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right. Yep. I mean, I'm spread here. I'm gonna use the 2, but I think I have to use the 4 there, just being protected here. But nothing to add in the first leg. All right. Skipper Rooney, let's come to you right next to me. Mile and a 16th, second leg, race 7, the Grade 2 Santa Maria, and Bob Baffert. He's got the 1 and the 2. Both are going to be short prices. Do you single here? Do you go too deep, or do you got somebody who might be able to beat him?
No, I'm going to single here. I'm not going to get too fancy. I'm going to single the 1, Richie. Got speed from the rail. I think this horse will go to the front, and I think it will keep going. I can't see the 2 hooking up, the 1 and the 2, but if the 2 decided to go, the 1's got some tactical, advantage where it could sit and finish 2. So I really like that last race. It got caught late, but Cavalieri is a real nice horse of Baffert. I'm going to take a stand and single the 1 here.
Oldie, your thoughts on this race as well?
My thought is exactly the same. So
yeah.
Rishi is within our metrics is top Scotty pick, top win percentage, top GSR, the breeding number, top SOR, the strength of race, and top pace. When those all align, that horse wins more than 50% of the time. So for me, to play against there and would just bloat my ticket there. So I'm going to single there. There was nobody else I really liked. And I think we all know Baffert well enough to know that he's not one of the trainers who typically lets two of his horses duel on the front end and burn each other out as well.
Right. Yeah. Gino, your thoughts as well? Are we kind of all in unison here that Ricci's going to take him gate to wire?
She's definitely the class of the field. She's run the best races. She's faced the best company. The thing that just concerns me is that both of the Baffert horses, not necessarily even that they're going to battle each other. The both of them, well, Splendora's never been long. And Ricci's only gone a mile and a 16th recently and hasn't been long in a while. And the times that she did go long was over in Chile, might just have been like way better than those horses she was facing. I'm a little bit concerned just at a distance standpoint. And I kind of was getting a little bit to what Oldie was saying. Like, I don't really find the other horse in the field. That's the problem. Like, who is going to take advantage? I will probably at least have something where I use the horse that I liked last time out that didn't really run all that well was Ultimate Authority, who I do think is probably the only one. If they go too fast early, and maybe it's not even Splendora and Ricci, maybe a horse like Fayette Fox, who's not as classy as those horses, but certainly is pretty quick and has a little bit of speed. Even the horse to the outside, Lisa's No-No, I think wants to sit a little bit, but I don't know how far off she wants to sit. I just don't know if like a horse like Son of Hill, how good she is. That would be the one I looked at in Ultimate Authority. If you're playing a ticket where you're using a little more, it's just tricky because both of the two that'll be the Bafferts, that'll take a lot of money, don't have a whole lot of recent experience going longer. So I'd like to see that before I was really confident about like keying in on a short price. So while I do think Ricci stands out, I guess I'd have a hard time getting to Splendora as much. I don't know what her trip's going to be in here. So of the two Bafferts and the shorter prices, I probably prefer Ricci. I'm going to at least get Ultimate Authority into the mix somewhere.
All right. Yeah. It doesn't look like the strongest grade 2 in the world. I'm kind of with you guys. I think Ricci's clearly the one to beat. Splendora has some room to improve. And Ultimate Authority's ran some races, right, in the past, Gino, that maybe you could make a case.
She was in it wasn't like a awful trip, like not blatant trouble, but she kind of was like going like a little wide, going up on horses, like in between horses. Just wasn't the smoothest trip. I think they're just going to sit back.
Yeah.
Like wait. And if they go quick and if these horses are getting tired late, I think she'll be the one that's going to be trying to come and mow them all down late. So if anything, if there is a small version of this race where the Bafferts get beat, I think it would be her that was able to benefit.
All right. Move on to the third leg, which is the optional claimer 6.5. We are going down the hill here, and Oldie, this looks like a very, very interesting race. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. With the rail horse, I believe, is the morning line favorite, who is ran okay down the hill, in for the tag. What are your thoughts here? Tough race.
So I don't know if you remember the last time you had me on, but we had a long discussion on the curveball throwing Tom Seaver here.
Yes.
So I figured you were having me on again to talk about Tom Seaver, but so I take a lot of the E data and I have some of my own models, and Tiger Horn actually tripped what I call the red model, which is a model that predicts chalky horses that will not win or are less likely to win. So I was not using that horse at all. I actually went Tom Seaver on top, staying consistent because I thought Tom Seaver was a turf horse. Tom Seaver ran really well first time out, and I think coming back to turf, I think we'll run a better race down the hill here for D'Amato and his Frechu aboard. So that's where I landed on top. And then I used a couple others. I used Simplexity here, the 10 horse, who does have a win at 6.5, but actually 2 wins at 6.5, but not down the hill. Has shown tactical ability, but I think could run big here, as well as Touchdown Brown, the 7, and that horse has won at 8, and I like the cutback going down the hill. I know that's a strong angle, going from a a mile on the turf back to 6.5 down the hill. So that was another horse I liked there.
All right, Gino, I don't know about you. I think Simplexity will end up going off as the favorite in here. I'm against the rail horse as well. What are your thoughts here?
Because the rail horse looks like one of those horses that's more of a 5.5 horse than a 6.5 horse too. And that's a big difference. This turf course plays a lot more like a mile layout. So it plays to horses that are generally a little bit better and that are more like routers. The horse who I am absolutely using, I'm going to make a little win wager on if I can get like 6-1 or above, is the number 12 Scatify to the outside. I think this horse is going to run really well down the hill. You go through Scatify's form, shows a bunch of ability first time out of the box, wins. And then since then, threw into Stakes Company, faced pretty tough group. Actually, the best race came going 6 furlongs on the turf. That was a really good effort when finishing second, like one of the better recent efforts. And then since then, you see a runner-up effort in the Affirmed behind a horse named Parenting, who was really good at the time, came back to win next time out. Following that, you see Formidable Man. That was going long on the turf. So that race doesn't really bother me all that much because it's going longer. I'm looking at sprint races on the turf. Formidable Man's now a grade 1 winner. Just won the Kilroe Mile, beat Zio Joe when I needed Zio Joe at 25-1 to hold on that day. Ultra Power ran really well that day. And you have the angle where you toss 2. If you look at the last 2 for Scatify, the race right before the long layoff, you put a line right through that. You don't be too hard on that race. Then coming off the long layoff, hadn't raced from the end of August to March, shows back up in March, and is in a really tough group with a horse named Booksmart, who is in fantastic form, very fast on the front end, and Positivity, who is in there, has won 2 of the last 3. I think just earned a 98 Beyer speed figure in winning. So exiting strong races. Now you get back to the turf where this horse has run well. 6.5 feels like a perfect distance. We like the outside draw down the hill. This horse should sit pretty close, and I think we'll be in that like 6 to 10-1 range. So I'm going to give the 12 Scatify a real long look.
Skipper, tough race. Anybody to add in this leg?
You know, I'm going to spread in here also. A couple that I'll mention that you guys did not. One of them is going to be the 8, Miracle Mark. Now, I don't know. This horse is coming off a break. Phil D'Amato does good. I love the 20-1. They get the blinkers on. This horse might like coming down the hill. Whenever I see a horse running a mile on the grass and they do good, or they usually like this 6.5 coming down the hill. At 20-1, I'm going to put that on the ticket. And another one that I'm going to mention is the 11, Navy Jack. This horse is a first-time gelding for Peter Miller. Probably needed its last race. Comes back. It came back and worked twice since. They stretch it out. They gelded it. You know, first time in the country back last year in February at Santa Anita. Did not run bad. Formidable Man ran second out of that race. That horse was off slow. That was a better than looked race, I think. First time gelding, I don't know. I'm just trying to make something happen here with a couple price horses. I will be using Tom Seaver. I will be using Touchdown Brown. And I will be using Simplicity along with the 12 also. But I'm going to also add the 8 and 11.
All right, I'm just going to throw in a couple prices also. I think this is a really, really tough race that you guys didn't talk about. One of them would be the 9 Tessuto. Haven't tried the turf before, but has shown some ability, and I think should get a good stalking trip. And at 15-1, I think is worth a price. The other one, there's not a ton of speed in this race.
No.
And before the last race, Kangaroo Court was working really well. Third off the layoff. You know, at the price, this horse showed a ton of ability. I know that was a long time ago.
It was funny. He was actually favored in the Pat Day Mile, the open company race on undercard day and the Derby day, because that's the race that a lot of the horses that don't run in the Derby run in, and it ends up being a really strong race. He was favored at like 4-1 there because he was so good early on in his career, and he just hasn't been able to get back to it. Right.
Just the works in the morning have been good. There hasn't been anything recently since that last race that I've been able to see. This isn't one of Yachteen's strongest move first turf, but I think this race is so wide open with very little speed. Maybe this horse can walk on the front end. So, all right, we are. Looks like we're spreading in there. We're all kind of trying to beat the rail, basically, right? So, all right, let's move on to race 9. Gino, back to you. A mile on the dirt. Calbreds here. What are your thoughts in this?
I'm going to single in this race. Horse will probably be the lukewarm favorite here with Little Richard's Bellow. Coming off of this brutal trip last time out. This horse was inside, was sitting third, just behind the leaders, was traveling really well and just got stuck behind horses, got stopped and got like shuffled back. Actually almost hit the rail at one point and then still keeps coming late. That was the first start since October. So now second start back after that, race. You have a month off, little more than a month off in between. So not worried about a quick return or a bounce or anything like that. The horse proven at this level, fits really well. Juan Hernandez keeps the faith. The horse has like tactical speed, doesn't need the lead, could be sitting the same sort of trip that he was last time out where he's not too far behind the leaders. I think the others in here kind of look the same. And I thought he was sort of like a tier above them because if it wasn't them, I would throw in Kerry Gold and Mr. Disrespectful. I feel like Mining District might kind of push the pace a little bit. And even because Be Punctual draws the rail, those 4 horses could all push each other a little on the front end. And I don't think Little Richard's Bellow has to be too far out of it. So I'll take a stand here, especially if I'm going to try to maybe use one other in the race where everybody will be singling Ricci. Maybe I can do it a little different and single in this race where I'll lean on Little Richard's Bellow.
Skipper, singling Little Richard's Bellow. What are your thoughts here?
No, I'm going to add one other horse, and that's going to be the one, Be Punctual. This could be a nice claim for Bob Hess Jr. off Edward Freeman. I like that last race. I like that it's on the rail. It's got speed. It also could sit in case a couple horses go. DeSormo's on it. The one's going to be on my ticket, but I think Little Richard's Bellow is a horse to beat, like Gino said. So I'm going to go 1-5 in here.
Oldie, anybody to add besides the 1 and the 5?
Yeah, so I actually will not use the 5, but that is one of those that I did not like as a favorite. Instead, I'm on the 6 Mining District as my top pick there at 12-1. Seems to be bred and really want the mile. Needs to be close on the lead. It has some class there. I also thought the 2 Kerry Gold and the 4 Keep Moving On for Mark Glatt, second time Glatt with Frazier there. Glatt second time off a claim is 37%. And, so I thought if they go too fast, Keep Moving On is going to be the one that keeps moving on and cleans that up. And it has a little bit more of both dirt breeding and a little more tactical speed in my mind over Little Richard's Bellow, better price as well. And I also had the 1 Be Punctual on my ticket.
All right, so Oldie's going a little bit of different. I love it. Gino singling and Oldie trying to beat, keeping it off the ticket. So I have nothing more to add in there. All right, last race is a doozy. I've got some serious thoughts in here. Skipper, your thoughts.
Well, start us off, Chappie. Go ahead. You start us off this time. You didn't even give us a thought in the last race.
All right. Well, first of all, I needed Vanellia for a giant score the last time, and horse made that big sweeping move and then got swallowed up. But that horse has got a lot of talent. Obviously, a couple of the horses that swung by were the 2 Prestige Function. The 3 horse was in that race sent from the rail like a maniac by Dettori, so that's very interesting. And Carla's better second off the layoff. There's some prices in here, but my top pick is the 11 Comeback Girl, who I liked the last time and was scratched for a trainer who never wins first time out. But this horse is fast, is 20-1, and I'm going to bet this horse, and I'm going to spread in one of them, and I'm going to single Comeback Girl in another ticket. And I might be absolutely nuts, but this horse has a lot of talent, and we shall see. I love the price. It was 12-1 when it was scratched the last time, so I'll take the 20-1. And there's a lot of good runners in this race. So
that race that you were talking about, the Vanilla race, you could take the 4 horses that come out of that race and make a case for all 4 of them for different reasons. Like you were saying, the 2 and the 4 made big early moves. Like Prestige Function was a step slow, was about 8 lengths off, was 10th, and then moved up to about 6 off, shifted out, big move, just moved, like didn't time it right. Same thing with the 4, moved a little bit early. The 3 was one of the horses that set it up. They were flying in that race. So you probably actually want to take the speed horses back out of a race like that where they're going that fast early, because it doesn't look like they'll be going that fast early on paper. The horse who I think had the most trouble of all of them in that race was actually the 9, Robin with the Y. This is the horse who debuted and ran an 87 Beyer speed figure in the debut for Paul Aguirre when running really well, when finishing second. So comes back, was actually sitting third in that March 15th race, was in between horses, then was up to the second spot. And then horses started to kind of move and shift all over. And this horse just got caught like in a blind switch, had nothing to do, and got shuffled back as all the horses to the outside start moving. And you're just, if you back this horse, you're sitting there like, what happened? It was sort of crazy and didn't run.
Not to interrupt, Gino. I know somebody who was alive to take down the whole pool single to that horse. And
right?
The trip was bad. Yeah.
And it was bad. It was also like unlucky too, because you were looking like as these horses started to move, there really wasn't anywhere they could go. They were just sort of in the middle of it all. I have to use that horse because I wouldn't be shocked if they try to show more of the speed from the outside just to stay out of that little bit of that trouble. This horse has some real ability, so I want to make sure I'm using her in the mix too. So yeah, I had, especially if I'm singling in the last race, 9's in the mix for me, the 2 and 4 for sure. The 3 would be the price that I'm also going to include Storm Lady, maybe even Sensational Dream, who showed a really good race sprinting in the debut, then went longer, and you could just probably eliminate that race going longer and go back to the sprint. So I'll probably spread out and use combos of this one. And the 8th and the 10th look like the really fun races where you could get some prices down the hill in the 8th and then the 6 furlong here to close things out.
Yep. Oldie, your thoughts? I'm sure we were all over the place.
Yeah, you covered all, but I think 2 of my horses here. So everything that Gino's using, and then the 7 Favor to You, the other D'Amato here with Rispoli aboard, who showed a big kick first time out sprinting, and then they took it to a mile. It didn't seem to like the 2 turns and is cutting back here. I like that cutback. I think there's going to be more speed than we realize here, because horses like Venalia and Prestige Fung's son, easy for somebody else to say, both broke slow or had start problems, and both showed speed after that and rushed up. So we think that there's going to be some significant speed here, and Favor to You is definitely the one I think could be closing here at 9-2. And then I also like my long shot play, and that this goes against everything I just said of the speed, but at 20-1, the 5 Sensational Dream. We have a big breeding number on it. First time out at this distance, it had the lead in the stretch and just couldn't hang on. If it can get the lead here, which it seems like it definitely needs, and there's less speed than I think here, and being a little bit to the inside with some speed here might be to the advantage. This one might be able to hang on with a little more experience.
Skipper, we've mentioned most of everybody in here. Anybody we did touch on?
No, all the ones that you guys mentioned, I'm going to use. I'm glad that you talked about the 5. The 5 will definitely be on my ticket. The 3 at 15-1 is going to be on my ticket. The 4, I know you needed that last time, is going to be on my ticket. Gino, my top play is the 9. I agree. It was a bad trip for all the reasons you said. You explained it. I'm glad that they kept the Bug Boy on it. Usually with a trip like that, the connections look for an excuse to replace the jock. They did not. I like that. Oldie, you mentioned the 7, the blinkers off. I love that. And then Chappie, the 11. So yeah, I'm gonna spread in here, and I spread in the first race a little bit, then I singled, then I spread a couple more, and then I went 2 deep. I'll be spreading in here, and hopefully we can get lucky with a couple of these prices.
Not to add any more chaos to it, but just from watching the XBTV workouts, the 10 Moonlit Courage is going to get over bet because it's a my racehorse, but that horse can run. That's a first timer. If you watch the works, Gino, the April 5th work is with Goliad, and the work before that was with that Cayucos, who I believe ran today. But that horse has got some talent. Those maybe in a pick 5 sequence, because you don't get the value you do on the my racehorses in the straight bets.
Yep.
But also has some talent,
especially if you're someone who's shortening up, kind of like the way Skippy mapped out his ticket, right? A lot of people will probably be shortening up in the race with the Bafferts. You're going to probably leaning on 1 or 2 horses there. Maybe you're shortening up again in the 9th race like we did. I'm leaning on Little Richard's Bellow. Skip only went a couple deep. Then it gives you an opportunity to use a few extra and horses like that in the last race there. And I feel like every time we say prestige function, we got to say it like in Step Brothers, like prestige function, prestige worldwide.
I love it. All right. It looks like even with maybe a single possibly winning, it looks like one of these, we've been saying this a lot, but one of these pick 5s that has a chance to pay a lot no matter what. There looks like plenty of prices along the way. So, Gino, plenty going on this weekend. Drive it home for us here, my friend.
Yeah, don't forget, it's also Easter weekend. Happy Easter to everyone out there who's going to be celebrating. You can bring the kids on out for the Easter egg hunt at Santa Anita. Check that out. I'll be hiding eggs all over for Milo myself. And they actually have the coast-to-coast pick 5s still rolling on. We just talked about the late pick 5, but if you like the coast-to-coast pick 5, you can always check on the Santa Anita website. It'll tell you what races they have from Santa Anita and from Gulfstream Park. Don't forget about checking the Express Bet tournament section. You can qualify for a big tournament, I think, next weekend at Santa Anita. You can try to qualify for that thing tomorrow. Goals for everybody, getting NHC seats and BCB seats. We got a big Kentucky Derby contest coming up in just a few weeks. So hopefully everyone has a fantastic Saturday, Chappie. I'm pumped up and ready to rock.
That's right. All right. Remember, first post tomorrow, 1 o'clock, and we do race on Sunday, first post at noon. So we'll see you all out here. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Oldie, good seeing you again, my friend. And
great seeing you guys, and thank you for having me again. We'll be covering Laurel, Santa Anita, Gulfstream tomorrow. It should be a great day of racing with 5 stakes, I believe, at Laurel tomorrow.
Yeah.
Skipper?
Yeah, and if you get a chance, tune in to AM 8:30 tomorrow morning from 8 to 9, or go to TML AM 8:30 on Facebook or Instagram. We're going to have the great Eddie Olczyk. Edzo is going to be on, our first guest. Nice. We're going to talk pucks and Kentucky Derby ponies, playoff pucks and Kentucky Derby ponies. So looking forward to that.
He's always great when he's on, so it should be a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. And gentlemen, we'll see you again next week. And Oldie, sooner than later, my friend. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
Good luck,
appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.